My 31M girlfriend 26F of 6 years recently quit her job to travel the world. After 2 months of traveling, she's considering ending things. I'm blindsided. What now? For reference, I will call myself Michael and her Lisa. But for more info, we have had a truly wonderful relationship. We met 2 years before dating, and at the time I was dating someone else. Lisa was one of my flatmates at uni. I'm in the UK, and we bonded very quickly. So we were friends for a while. My GF at the time broke up with me, and I had a brief fling with Lisa. No sex, but kissing, etc. We were very close as friends, and this felt very natural. However, I moved out a week after and moved to the other side of the country. At the time, I was in a very bad place for a variety of reasons, and we slowed down talking as much. Then a year later, she randomly reached out again, and we started talking. And we just reconnected completely. I was just graduating uni, and she was just about to enter her final year after taking a gap year for work experience. She came to visit me at uni, and at this time I fully expected it was just a friendly visit, but it quickly became more. Soon after, she was back home, and we were chatting every day for literally up to like 12 hours on FaceTime. We did it so often. I fell completely in love with her, and soon after, we became official. We've lived together for the last 4 years, having moved in together about 6 months before COVID. We had an amazing time. We adored lockdown, so much time to just develop our relationship and love each other. We have had such a wonderful relationship, always able to communicate with each other about our feelings, understand each other, and always insistent on not allowing ourselves to become too codependent. We lived our own separate lives, and we liked that. When together, in our flat, we lived in our own wonderful bubble full of in-jokes and words we ascribed our own meanings to. We always likened the strength of our relationship to the fact we were friends first. No jealousy ever, rarely ever arguments, and when there were arguments, we always managed to handle it well. We've talked extensively about our future. We've said we want to be married to each other. I have jokingly proposed to her dozens of times, always mortifying her, and have even picked out names for our future kids. We're not ready for any of that yet, as we are building our careers, but it always felt like this was it. So she's had a job for the past 4 years that she ended up hating. She quit earlier this year and has been saving up to go traveling. She did the Philippines and is now in Australia. She's been there for 2 months now. When she first went, I told her that she needs to fully embrace it and not to worry about me. The arrangement was simple really. Our tenancy in our flat ended at the same time she planned to travel, so I've moved in with my friend, and she's away for 3 months. Our goal, which we discussed a lot, was that when she returns, she'd find a new job, we'd find a new place, and resume building our life together. Slowly, we started talking less and less, and whilst at first I was happy, there were little things that were ringing alarm bells. Such little things, but when you know someone so well, and when you know your relationship so well, these small things stand out. She'd not reply for days at a time, but still post on her IG story. She'd post things like feeding a wallaby, but not share that with me. I love animals, and she loves how childlike I get around them. And she always said she feels sad seeing animals without me because she can't see my reactions to them. But now she's not sharing them with me. I brought this up 1 month into her traveling, firstly framed in a "I miss you" kind of way, and it landed well, and she said she'd try to talk to me a bit more. But she just withdrew even more. I brought it up again 2 weeks later, this time with a bit more of a "maybe can we try to talk a bit more?" I also mentioned at this stage that I regret telling her before she traveled that I would be fine with not talking much, and that whilst I truly meant it at the time, in action, it was hurting me more than I expected. She understood and promised we'd talk more, but we talked less. A few days ago, I bring it up again, and this time, it was different. Each time, she's always insisted that she is in a bubble, and that she needs to just focus 100% on the traveling. I asked her if she could just give me 5 minutes every few days, just to say hello, but she said she wasn't sure she could even do that. THSI really upset me because we are 6 years in and we have always had such a strong relationship that I was surprised at how unwilling she was. I said we needed to talk about this properly over the phone, and she suggested the following night. Her time in Oz would make it around 8:10 a.m. my time. I was ready at that time, but she postponed it an hour as she was going for a sunset walk and then going out for dinner with her traveling friends. Then it was postponed further, but I could no longer make the call as I had a client meeting. I told her how upset I was that she prioritized a sunset walk over our relationship, and that she had already had 2 months of them, and that I was only asking for one evening so we could talk about the future of our relationship. She agreed we needed to talk about the future of our relationship, but said she couldn't do that until she returned home in 5 weeks. I said I couldn't wait that long and quickly called her my client was late, luckily. Essentially, she said she's so confused right now because she's in a bubble of traveling, but she's just not sure if this is what she wants anymore. She floated the idea of wanting to move out to Australia. She clearly doesn't see me in her future anymore. I am just so blindsided because we were so close and strong and happy before. And now she's traveled, it's just totally changed everything. I asked her if she still loves me, and she wasn't sure she could answer that. She was very much down the middle about everything, clearly confused about the situation, but not wanting to cause too much of an interference to her bubble right now. My impression was that she wanted to just ignore this was happening until she came back. So where do I go now? I am so lost, so confused, so hurt. I want to be with her and spend my life with her, but she just might not want that now. TLDR girlfriend of 6 years is currently traveling and has decided she's not sure she wants to stay together. This is very blindsided and I'm confused AF. Update. So, it was a grueling 2 weeks in which I took everyone's advice as well as my own judgment and didn't contact her at all. It was insanely difficult because I didn't really know anything about her perspective at all. I felt like I was in limbo. I didn't know where I stood and didn't know where she stood. Every day was day one of grieving, and the longer time went, the more difficult it became. She had acted so coldly with me with regards to talking to me about what was happening, and as I said in my original post, she had prioritized her traveling over my well-being and/or the well-being of the relationship. It was really hurting me because she knows me well, and I felt very confused and frankly traumatized that she was refusing to give me any answers. It really was driving me insane. I wasn't eating or sleeping. I wasn't working, self-employed, and couldn't concentrate on anything. I cried a lot. After a certain point, I decided that I couldn't continue this any longer, and although I tried to respect her need for space, I needed to respect my own need for answers. So I reached out to her again. 2 days ago, we had a long 2-hour video chat. She's currently in Vietnam. She sat in the hall of a hostel, and we talked openly, warmly, honestly, and in depth about both of our feelings. There were a lot of tears. It was a very emotionally draining conversation, but it gave me a lot of answers and resolved a lot of the turbulence that I had experienced. I had written her a letter on the morning of the scheduled call, and I read it out to her. I explained how she had made me feel and how unempathetic I felt she was. She took this on board on a profound level, deeply apologized, and I could tell she was truly hurt with herself that she had behaved like that. She acknowledged that she had buried her head in the sand from the feelings. It was truly powerful to hear her be so candid. This was the girl I had fallen in love with. She was usually so empathetic, smart, sensitive, so her behavior in the past few weeks being so the opposite of that created such strange feelings in me. I was glad that we were talking back on the level we were usually so good at. But long story short, it is over. You see, I am her first boyfriend. Sure, she has slept with her fair share of lads, but I'm her first relationship. We met when I was 22 and she was 18. I was really the only man in her life for a long time. She's now traveling and just feels a deep sense within herself that she needs to explore herself and her life without a partner. She needs to be alone to do this. I completely understand this. It's not what I wanted to hear, but it's something I obviously understand and won't at all stand in the way of. She's planning to move to Australia for a while and continue her soul search. Right now, she just doesn't see a place for me in what she needs from her life. It's heartbreaking. I'm heartbroken. I love her deeply. She still loves me. But sometimes that just isn't enough, and that's all there really is to it. A lot of you suggested, sometimes with quite a cruel snarkiness, that she was cheating. She wasn't. I'm sure some of you will still believe that, but that's fine. Maybe you just haven't been in a real, adult relationship where there is honesty and transparency. This is not about another man. This is just about her recalibrating what she wants from her future. Now I need to figure out how to recalibrate my future. We had talked extensively about marriage. I was ready to spend my life with her. We had already named our future kids. Everything about the future that we had envisioned is now gone. It is really difficult right now to imagine being with anyone else, because the depth of our relationship was so strong. Every night, I am awoken by the isms of our relationship, the small quirks, the in-jokes, the made-up language we used, the tone of voice we would speak to each other in, the food we'd eat together, the things we'd do together, the songs we'd sing together, our touch, the warmth of her body against mine, the smell of her perfume, the way she'd say my name in a cute way when I'd done something cheeky. So many things that are littering my mind right now. I'm struggling to see through it right now. I have no idea how I will make it through. If anyone can share any advice that can help me, please do. I know the obvious stuff. Jim, focus on yourself, rebuild your life. But they are all intangible to me. How do I repair my soul? How do I move on from someone I am still actively in love with? She returns to the UK at the start of July, and I will be spending a few days with her. A goodbye, if you will. It will be hard, and every fiber of my being wants to beg her to find a way to include me in her future, or to find ways to entertain the notion that, in the future, we will find our way back to each other in some grandiose fatalistic stroke. I had truly defined her as my soulmate and my best friend, and she had done the same for me. Right now, whilst she's still traveling, she's not able to sit in any of these feelings. But I know they'll come for her too once she returns to her parents and lives there for 6 months as she saves for her future traveling. I don't know what the future looks like now. If anyone has any advice, please do let me know. TLDR, it's over, but in a somewhat beautiful and amicable way. I'm heartbroken and sad. How do I heal? Next story. Am I the butthole for refusing to jump the broom at my wedding? Hi everyone. I'm 33 Black F, soon to be married to 29 White M. We're getting married in October. We've been together for 3 years, engaged for 1. I was born and raised in Kenya, and I moved to the States to attend university. My fiancé is from the West Coast, Wyoming, and his parents still live there. My fiancé and his parents don't have the best relationship. I've only met them a few times since we've been together. His mother always asks to come visit, but my fiancé finds excuses to stop her from coming. He's very introverted, and his mother and father are a lot personality-wise, so I understand why he keeps his distance. After hearing about our engagement, my fiancé's mother insisted on helping with the decorations for the wedding. She's an interior decorator. I told her that she could design the centerpieces, but everything else would be handled by the wedding planner. She begrudgingly agreed, and I thought that was the end of it. She flew in a few weeks after that to discuss wedding plans. She showed me a few of her centerpiece designs, and then showed me the real reason why she came. The brooms. At first I didn't understand why she was showing me a bunch of elaborate brooms. She had a whole file showcasing about 50 types of brooms. I kept thinking that the venue we had chosen didn't need different fancy brooms everywhere because it's a modern venue. The brooms really wouldn't fit into the theme that we were going for. I guess she saw the confusion on my face because she asked if I already had a broom in mind, because she was really hoping we could pick one out together. I told her that the cleaning staff at the venue would do an excellent job beforehand, so bringing a broom would not be necessary. She laughed and said, "I'm talking about picking out a broom to jump over during the ceremony." I'm not normally this dense. I know the history of jumping the broom in African American history, but I'm from Kenya. We don't jump the broom in Kenya, and I would feel uncomfortable jumping the broom because it's not a part of my culture and my fiancé is very white. I just didn't think that my white mother-in-law would be so insistent on us jumping the broom. She was downright beaming when she showed me more broom photos. I told her that I was uncomfortable with jumping the broom and gave her my reasons. My fiancé stepped in and said that he was uncomfortable as well. His mother was pissed. She said the whole reason she came here was to pick out brooms, and now our wedding won't have any culture. I told her that we could incorporate some of my tribe's traditions if she wanted to add some culture into my wedding. I mentioned the Kenyan choir that was going to be singing at our wedding, not to mention the very traditional food that would be served. But she wouldn't budge on that broom, and how without it, we were turning our backs on my culture. I finally snapped and told her that we could always go the dowry route. Her side of the family could scrounge together a few goats and some cows, and we'd call it even. She turned red and stomped off. She left after a day of the silent treatment. I thought she would cool down a bit, and we could be cordial. My fiancé told me that would never happen. He was right. A few weeks ago, my fiancé's mother made a post on Facebook. She decided to make her own custom broom herself, and made a post on Facebook condemning me and my refusal to jump the broom. She went on and on about how I was turning away from my roots and how she slaved for weeks on a broom that will never be jumped over. I've received countless messages from her friends and family calling me an butthole. My fiancé's dad has called my fiancé and I ungrateful. My fiancé is livid and wants to boot her out of the wedding and cut contact. But now most of his side is refusing to come to the wedding to show solidarity with his mother. So, am I the butthole? Update. Hi everyone. It's been about a week and a half since my first post, and a few things have happened. I want to thank everyone who commented on my last post. Everyone was so nice and helpful, which helped me solidify the fact that I was not in butthole. I decided to be petty last week, so I sat down and wrote a rebuttal post to my future mother-in-law's Facebook post about my refusal to jump over her customized handmade broom that she had slaved over for weeks. A lot of people who commented on my last post clocked the slaved over line she used. I went back and counted the times she used the word slaved in her Facebook post. She used the word over 10 times. Her post was only 2 paragraphs long. I won't write my full post here, but it touched on me being Kenyan and not African American several times. In caps, I decided to tag all of her friends' family that had sent me private messages condemning my refusal to jump over her custom broom. I reiterated the fact that in true tradition of my tribe, a dowry would be expected from the groom's family. I mentioned that they could send their goats, cows, and chickens to my future mother-in-law's house if they so felt inclined to make a contribution. I also wrote the post in both English and Swahili to really hammer down the point that I'm from Kenya. I may or may not have called my future mother-in-law a racist cow at the end. In a polite way though. Since my Facebook post, all hell has broken loose. I knew that my post wouldn't win any of my fiancé's family over to my side, but I didn't realize that my future mother-in-law had so much pull. After my post, I blocked and unfriended all of my fiancé's family minus a few members who had always been in my corner. I had only added most of them because of the wedding anyway, so no love lost there. A few days later, my fiancé's sister texted me and told me that her mother had doubled down. She recruited a bunch of her family friends to make their own brooms in solidarity with her. There are about 7 brooms in total now, all made from different family members, I guess to make my mother-in-law feel better. I've seen pictures. They're all horrendous. One of them says, "F-Mill is not a racist," on the handle. Lol. She's been texting my fiancé nonstop since my Facebook post, and so has his dad, but he hasn't given them the time of day. He sent them one text telling them that they've gone too far and he needs space. Lots of space. As for the upcoming wedding, we have decided to accept my fiancé's family's plan to boycott. Most of their invitations have been revoked, including the invitations extended to my future mother and father-in-law. They'll probably still show up to the wedding, but we have security. My fiancé and I have decided to go low contact with his side of the family. He has blocked his parents and slowly moved to no contact in a few months. Next story. My 20F boyfriend 22M said, "If you can't handle period cramps, how do you want me to build a family with you?" Hello, my boyfriend and I have not been talking for the past few days because of this incident. Basically, I got my period in the middle of the night, and I woke up to my legs being completely drenched in blood. I teared up a little bit because I hate being on my period, so I was really sad about that. I also ruined my boyfriend's sheets, so I was embarrassed too. I couldn't open my legs because I knew I would just bleed more, so I gently woke him up to carry me to the bathroom. He was kind of annoyed about being woken up, understandably, but I really needed to use the bathroom, and I couldn't walk because I was in pain. I was crying a little bit while he was carrying me, most likely due to the hormones because I'm not usually that sensitive, and when he put me down, I realized that I wouldn't be able to take the extra few steps to sit down on the toilet. I also knew that as soon as I opened my legs, blood would just come out. So I then asked him to give me his hand to help me get into the bathtub instead. He was annoyed and said, "Can't you do it yourself?" I said, "No, my stomach hurts." He then helped me, and I was crying because I knew I was just annoying him. When I eventually came out of the bathroom, he said, "You just ruined all my sheets." I said I was sorry. He then sighed obnoxiously loud to show his annoyance. I said I was sorry. Can you drop it? You act like you're the one cramping for a week. He then said, "Shut the F up. My sisters get their period too, and they're not complained about it." I said, "What did you just say?" And he laughed and went to the kitchen. I followed him and grabbed his arm to make him look at me, and he kind of raised his voice and said, "Bro, leave me alone. You just ruined my day with your crap." I said, "Sorry, I have my period," and he was like, "You're acting like you're giving birth. Relax." He then followed with, "How do you want us to build a family if you cry at every inconvenience?" I was crying and said, "What the F does that even have to do with this?" And he said, "See? If you can't handle period cramps, how do you want me to build a family with you?" In the moment, I thought it was his way of breaking up with me, and I said, "Are you trying to break up with me right now?" And he said, "You know you can be so stupid sometimes." I said, "What's that supposed to mean?" And he said, "I'm not talking about this anymore. Go get some rest." I tried to talk about it, but he just gave me the silent treatment. Am I wrong in how I handled this? I guess I shouldn't have woken him up, but I had to go to the bathroom and I couldn't walk. Is there something I can do to fix this? Update. Hello, I made a post about a week ago regarding a situation with my boyfriend. I talked to him yesterday morning, and I wanted to give an update because I saw some comments asking for one. We did not talk after our fight. I wanted to fix it and move on, but I was really hurt by the way he spoke to me and wanted him to apologize first. He didn't. I suspected he wouldn't because he always waits for me to apologize first, so I ended up texting him. My message didn't go through because he had blocked my number. I tried to text him on Instagram and discovered I was blocked there too. I then messaged him on Snapchat. He never uses it, so I think he just forgot to block me there. I told him I was sorry but I wasn't lol, and that I just wanted to talk in person. He ended up coming over, and as soon as he came in, he acted like nothing happened, which just pissed me off. By the way, I saw a lot of comments saying things like, "How did you not know you were going to be on your period? You're old enough to know better," etc. I was 5 days late, so I didn't really know when it would come. I know I should have been more prepared, but I had no idea it would happen or that he would react like that. Anyway, I told him I wanted to talk about what happened because his words still hurt me. I apologized for waking him up, acknowledging his frustration was understandable, and explained I was too weak at the moment to go to the bathroom by myself. He responded, "You acted like you were disabled." If I hadn't been there, what would you have done? I said I would have probably pissed my pants or gone alone and spread blood all over the room. I knew he would already be mad because I stained his bed, so I didn't want to make it worse by staining a towel too. I said I didn't like the way he was cussing at me and calling me names, and he replied, "Well, let someone else ruin your day with dumb crap and see how you react." I told him I didn't think it was dumb crap. I was in so much pain, and he didn't show any sympathy. He just looked at me like I said the dumbest thing in the world. I also told him that I scheduled an appointment with an obgyn because what I experienced wasn't normal. He said, "Well, I just hope next time you won't piss me off." I asked, "Why are you so mean?" And he didn't answer. He just went on his phone. I got mad and took his phone. Wrong move. I know, because he always dismisses me in the most disrespectful way to make me feel dumb. I took his phone to make him pay attention to me, and he tried to take it back a few times. I said I wanted to finish the conversation, and he just got even angrier. He ended up grabbing my wrist and twisting it to make me drop it. I obviously started crying, and he was like, "What the F are you crying about? You did this to yourself." Through tears, I said I just wanted to talk to him. He mocked me, and at this point, I was so hurt I just told him to leave. He left, and in the heat of the moment, I texted him saying it was over. I started thinking about all the messed up things he did or said to me and how he literally assaulted me. A couple of hours later, his sister, my very good friend, sent me a huge text asking if I was okay. She said her brother told her I went crazy and that he was worried for me, but that I just broke up with him out of nowhere. I haven't responded yet because I'm too ashamed to reveal what happened. I don't know what to do. She said he just wants everything to go back to normal and that he misses our trio, me, him, and his sister. I've been thinking about the whole situation since yesterday, and yes, I miss him more than I've ever missed anyone in my entire life, but I hate the way he speaks to me. I feel like if he changes that one thing, we could be perfect. I don't really know what to do. His sister says he's been heartbroken about this, and I believe her. She's never lied to me. I need opinions. What would you do? Thank you. Update 2. Hi everyone. This is most likely the final update I will post about this situation. I had my appointment with a gynecologist, and turns out I had a miscarriage. I initially thought it was just a really bad period since mine are usually heavy, but I was wrong. I've never been more heartbroken in my entire life. I can't believe I was pregnant and now it's gone. I tried to read every comment, and they all essentially said the same thing. I tried really hard to believe that he is the abuser everyone says he is, but I simply couldn't. He had never grabbed me like that before, and yes, it hurt, but at the time, I didn't think it was enough to officially break up. Stupid, I know. I thought, well, it's not like he hit me. But I was still very hurt by what he did and said, so I didn't try to contact him. He called me the day after the incident to apologize. He said he regretted what he did and promised to do better. I thanked him, and he asked to hang out, but I declined. He was understanding and asked me to stay on the phone just to talk. I still missed him, so I said yes. I also told him about the miscarriage, and he apologized profusely for his reaction. He genuinely looked sorry. He said that if he had known, he would have reacted differently, and that his attitude was mainly because he was tired. We both cried, and it was a beautiful conversation overall. The next day, Sunday, he came over with a bunch of gifts and a handwritten letter. He apologized again for what he did and promised he would never treat me like that again. He said he underestimated his strength, didn't use his full force, and simply wanted his phone back. He said he was working on his anger and impulsiveness. We spent the next few days glued together, and they were amazing. He was so cute, he kept referring to me as his wife. Everything was okay until last night. It was my friend's birthday, and we had planned to go together. My boyfriend and I went to different schools, so he didn't really know anyone and stayed with his friends most of the time. Most of the people there were from my high school, and I hadn't seen them in a long time, so I was talking to everyone. I forgot to mention, but his sister was there too, and we chatted. We were all drunk, and she jokingly asked what happened with her brother and why I went crazy on him. I responded laughing that he's the one who went crazy on me and attacked me. She asked what happened, and I explained that we were arguing. I took his phone, and he grabbed my arm and twisted it to make me drop it. She laughed and said he used to do that to her all the time growing up. I didn't say it in a serious tone at all, like I was laughing as I was saying it. Everything was fine that night, and we went to his place together as usual. But the next morning, so today, he asked me if I told his sister anything. I knew I effed up, so I acted like I didn't remember the conversation and said no. He knew I was lying, which just angered him. He accused me of spreading lies about him to everyone for attention, and said that he doesn't even know my friends. And that's the first impression they have of him now. I felt really bad and tried to explain that I wasn't thinking because I was drunk, and it's not like I said he punched me in the face. I tried to say that they didn't even hear me and that I was just talking to my friend. I also said that I was laughing as I was telling the story. He kept cutting me off and getting angrier. He was like, "Your voice is so loud, you really think no one heard you? Are you that stupid? Now everyone thinks I beat girls. Are you happy? Did you get the attention you wanted?" I just kept apologizing because I understood where he was coming from. I tried to hug him a couple of times, and he would just push me away. He kept calling me an attention seeker and a crybaby. I was sobbing because we were doing so good and I just had to ruin everything. When I tried to hug him for the last time, he slapped me in the face. I had never been hit in the face in my entire life, let alone by a man. We were both shocked for a moment, and then he started crying, apologizing. I had never seen him cry like that. I said I was okay and that I just wanted to leave. He tried to offer me a ride, but I said no and went home by myself. I ended up going home, read some comments, turned off my phone, and just cried the whole day. I don't know why it took me all of this to realize he doesn't love me. If I'm being completely honest, I still cannot see him as this evil abuser. I know he is one objectively, but I simply can't see him as one. I don't know why. I did block him, and I'm trying to keep my distance because I'm scared of what he could do next. I'm pretty sure he knows it's over now. I'm not sure, but I think he knows. I don't want to tell his sister what happened. They're literally twins, so I just feel like she would take his side. We're really close, so I'm not 100% sure she would. But then I didn't know my ex would slap me, so I don't want to test my luck. He also has another sister, but I don't really know her, talk to her, and I just want to be alone for now. And no, I'm not going to the police. I don't understand how someone can look up wedding rings with you one day, then literally hit you in the face the next day. I was literally pregnant with his child, and that's how he treat me. And he had the nerve to hit me knowing I lost our baby. I will never understand. I know everyone is going to call me stupid for going back to him one more time, and I get it. I know I am. It just sucks that I have to deal with the pain of losing a baby and now losing my boyfriend. Thank you everyone for the messages and comments. You all helped me a lot. I'm probably missing a lot of details. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel James Stories.